What if we found a fifth dimension? The laws of physics, the seemingly definite guidelines humans have created to try and fathom the mysteries of the sprawling universe we live in. But they might not be what we think they are, and our existence could well be structured differently. This is Unveiled, and today we're answering the extraordinary question, what if we found a fifth dimension? Are you a fiend for facts? Are you constantly curious? Then why not subscribe to Unveiled for more clips like this one, and ring the bell for more fascinating content. We currently recognize at least partially 4 dimensions in the known universe, 3 spatial dimensions and 1 temporal. These are length, height, depth, and time. First, the easy bit. Imagine a straight line without any depth whatsoever. That's length. Add height and you turn it into a 2-dimensional square. Throw in width to create depth and you have a 3D object. Everything around us that we can see and comprehend is 3D. All the furniture in your house, every human you know, the distant planets and stars in the sky. The 4th dimension is where things get tricky, because despite knowing what time is, humans can't really perceive it, at least not in the same way a 4th dimensional being would. Our 3D cube would be extended yet again to form a tesseract or hypercube in a 4D space. Sure, we can create representations of what we think a 4D tesseract would look like, but if one suddenly showed up in real life, we wouldn't be able to fully understand it. If we were actually 4D creatures, then when we looked in the tesseract, we'd be able to see its timeline, its whole life beginning to end in front of you all at once. Were we to look at something slightly more interesting, another human being for example, we'd see and comprehend their entire existence from birth to death like a long photo reel. So if understanding the 4th dimension is already fairly difficult, what does that mean for the 5th, the existence of which is contested? Partly we need the concept of a 5th dimension in order to solve many of the problems we currently have with the movement of time. If time flows at a rate of 1 second for every 1 second, as per standard clocks, it wouldn't actually go anywhere at all, so we need a new spatial dimension in order to measure the flow of time. That's 5D. To go back to our tesseract, if you took it into the 5th dimension, you'd now be able to see all the different possibilities for the tesseract's life. Anything that has happened, will happen, or might happen, you'd see it all at once. With a human, you'd see every possibility for their life, along the infinite paths that that specific life could take. You'd see parallel worlds. With 5D capabilities, you'd be omniscient to some degree. You'd have full control over your own timelines, meaning you'd also have influence over all others, without the power to outright change them or alter history. Via 5D time travel, you could send information and messages backwards or forwards in time, communicating with future or past versions of yourself and indirectly with others. It would help us to understand our own futures, but also unravel some fundamental mysteries of the universe and accomplish an incomprehensible number of things. If we all lived in a 5th dimension, we'd be turning humanity's timeline as a whole into a circular ring of constant communication between every point in history. We'd be endlessly learning thanks to a collective effort across all generations. As such, a 5th dimension would shatter everything we think we know so far, writing off the theory of general relativity as our understanding of time completely changes. Einstein's idea that nothing could travel faster than the speed of light in a vacuum would also be challenged, with 5D beings whizzing backwards and forwards between the past, present, and future. And if we break into the 5th dimension, an until now almost incomprehensible realm, who's to say we wouldn't unlock more dimensions after that? String theory says the universe is the manifestation of one single object, a long string of existence made up of photons and electrons all vibrating in different ways. If it's true, it turns the universe into an even greater unified body, made up of as many as 10 different dimensions. M theory is similar to string theory, but it goes one further by adding an 11th dimension. And then there's the bosonic string theory, which suggests there are as many as 26 dimensions out there. Make it to the 10th dimension in string theory or the 11th in M, and you are essentially a god. Not only can you see and visit any point in your particular timeline, as per 5D, but you basically are at every point in every timeline in the entire multiverse instantly. You understand the life of every one and thing that's ever existed in this universe, as well as you do everyone and thing that's ever existed in every infinite variation of this universe. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's the 5th dimension we need to master first. Unlock this comparatively humble plane and we'd still be able to travel through many worlds, moving all across our own personal timelines and observing the infinite changes which make a difference in our many lives, big or small. In one world, you got a different sandwich. In another, JFK was never shot. In one lifetime, you miss your bus. In another, the Black Death never happened. If we occupied the fifth dimension, we'd be able to watch all of these different realities play out. It may currently be beyond the realm of human perception, but it'd grant us a higher understanding of our universe, ourselves, our planet, and time itself. And that's what would happen if we found a fifth dimension.
Yo, 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 and this bitch, this mofo. What's going on, y'all boys? This is, damn, what Go Deep is this? I think this is Go Deep episode 197, I think. But here's actually what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stall. I'm gonna go to my computer. While I'm stalling, I'm gonna make some jokes about your mom. You know, the usual. And while I'm stalling, I'm gonna just turn around and act like I know this is Go Deep 197. Act like I knew that the whole time. Because I did. Which brings us to a great show today. Go Deep, episode 197. Fucking, man, I guess, you know, if you saw the title, you know what we're gonna talk about. But you probably don't know how we're gonna talk about it because we gotta update it. Cause see what happened, I've been told y'all about this shit long time ago. When I first got into the movement, actually before I even got into the movement, because before I got into the movement, I was doing my kids' videos, you know, with them. I mean, they were, you know, saying what they want to say, but I was editing it. I was putting it out. They were just saying shit that they heard me say. Yeah, y'all know what we talking about. We talking about that Jeff Johns shit. But the reason I say we gotta do this other podcast, we gotta update it. Cause people be texting me on Twitter and shit, or hitting me up on Twitter, telling me some old shit that I said and showing me some old videos and yo, I be looking. I didn't even like them videos, dog. I was looking so fat, dog, in those videos. Nah. Since this corona came, I've been fucking working the hell out. I look totally different. Some bullshit. All right, let's just get to some music, cause my phone just rang and it kind of blew the whole vibe. Let's get to some music. After that, we'll go from there. Yeah, bitch.
DJ Good with it. Turn the shit up.
Here you go, bitch. Talk to him.
Hey, yo, Z, you made this?
Yeah. Just send out shit. Hey, they hate cause they know that I'm pressure. I ran this shit up, might go cop me a test. Little nigga that guap on the thing on my schedule. Got two bad bitches, might fuck on the together. Yeah, 25 for a boy, I ain't taking no lesson. Oh, with a pole blow that boy, I just bitch know I'm a dog, but don't know I ain't gon' feel. Nigga stay with that fire, nigga, don't make me melt. He got hit with that fire, now that boy on the stretcher. We came from the block, now we flipped it like flesh. We rock a whole pot, nigga, I'm a finesse. Treat that bitch like a thought, you thought she was special. Fuck nigga play and get ate like some hamburger helper. Young nigga fly like Delta. Came up and keep my little nigga a stepper. We stay with them sticks, we a rockin' like hell. Get one with a belt, I respect your elders. We a white, that boy not like a baby. I'm tryna be better, bitch, I thought he was playing. I'm tryna load a bitch, nigga, don't need a scale. I got rank in the clique, having stain like the mail. Pull up to your door with them sticks like it's bad. Nigga came from the six, used to pay for a bail. Before I snitch, they can throw me in the cell. Yeah, we having ball like the jail. Yeah, we in that water like whales. We in them charges go faster than nails. Pull up with a hammer with 30 round nails. Nigga around me going up like stairs. Spin around, make a nigga sit down like jail. Me and Lil Mookie, that's spooky. Rich with my chain, gon' eat her like sushi. Nigga, my track got more chickens than losers. You fuck with my out, then you fuck with a loser. Choppers in the wind for the spin on a goofy. Smoking on the op, turn his ass to a doofy. All my friends dead like Uzi. All my hoes bad like Boosie. Young fly nigga like Gucci. Yo bitch skin out like my bitch juice. I ain't sippin' no Remy, nigga pass me a crew. Cashing out on my design, I ain't paying no boost. Let the chopper wake him up early morning, no run. Had to start up in the spot last night tryna goose. Keep a Glock, I'll pop a nigga like to stay true. Keep an eye on me so these little bitches stay true. Got a lot of clips, nigga, we ain't shooting no movies.
Yes, sir, nigga, you know what the fuck going on. Nigga, we ain't do no side switching, nigga. All that op shit, you get pop shit, nigga, on God. Free the gang, nigga, free Lil Keith, nigga, free the WAP, nigga. On God, we gon' slide K4K shit. Casino shit. Casino shit.
All right. We back from the break. I hope y'all like that song because that's actually a it's a merchandise video that I made. But it does have music in it, which is a song my homeboy CJ Casino from Fort Worth, Texas. Sorry, I gotta feed my cat at the same time. He walking around staring me in my damn eye like, yo bitch, are you not gonna give me some fucking food? So yes, I'm gonna give you some food. So, hope you like the song. Hope you like the video. Hope you like the merchandise. Go look at the site. As you see, we added some more merchandise. We also added some Fiona merchandise. If you really fuck with the movement, you have to have some Fiona merchandise. Why? Because it's fucking Fiona. There's no other reason, because it's Fiona. If anybody hate Fiona in this movement, you're not actually in this movement because there's no way to hate Fiona. Exactly. So go check out the fucking merchandise. Hold up. Also, while I'm giving orders to these people listening, let me just say like and subscribe and share with your friends. Subscribe to my shit. Don't just become listening to this shit, be like, yo, that guy had a cool podcast. And don't share it with your friends. No. When somebody has a cool podcast, you like. If somebody has a really cool podcast, you subscribe. Somebody has a really, really cool podcast, you share that shit. 3, but check this out. Now we got better shit. If somebody has a really, 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 really cool podcast, you fucking donate to his super chat. And I think I got a really, 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 really cool podcast. I think so. So if this not a live and I'm not, super chatting or whatever, just go donate to my fucking shit by buying a Fiona shirt. Bam. You go, you put that shit on and you be like, yo, your girlfriend or whoever say, yo, who is this girl? Why you got a girl in your shirt? Hold on, ma'am. You put out the hand like, ma'am, hold on, ma'am, this is Fiona. Then you tell her the story of the Snyder Cut movement. And you tell her who Fiona is in the Snyder Cut movement. And if she still doesn't understand, you sit her down. I was about to say, you sit her ass down. But I'm not gonna say that, even though I did say that. You sit her down and you tell her to listen to Go Deep. Because a lot of shit going on today, we've been talked about it. See, it's like, I think, so I always say Film Gob is the best in this movement, right? And I'm still gonna stay humble. I think Film Gob is the best in this movement. Film Gob is in terms of content creators, he's the best. He's the most entertaining. And he hits real hard when he does his thing. He hits real hard. Fucking Film Gob be sinking people. All right, so I would say Film Gob is the Superman of this fucking movement, right? But some people like Superman, but there's a Batman in this bitch too. And that's fucking me. And that's being humble as a motherfucker. Because I might not have as entertaining shit as Film God. I might not have as much subscribers and views as Film God. I might can't fly like Superman, you know? I might not be made of steel like Superman. I might can't punch through buildings like Superman. But I can spy on your ass. I can put some plans together. My show is pretty fucking dark. It's fucking Batman. I'm sorry, y'all boys, but I've been saying a lot of shit that y'all be thinking is breaking news. It don't really be breaking news. This be some old shit. But not only because of me, my whole crew do. I'm like the mouthpiece of my crew. We talk about this shit all the time. So let's just detail a little timeline of what happened and why. We gotta update y'all boys. I'm not the fat Peely no more. We gotta update. You know what I'm saying? Times have changed. This is not the 2018 Peely no more. This is not the 2019 Mr. West. This is the 2020 updated version of Go Deep. So check this out. Let's talk about the timeline. We're gonna go back. I'm gonna involve some of my friends in this story. I'm gonna involve some of the haters in this story, but I'm gonna just break it down. So let's look at it. At the beginning, you know, Marvel was doing their thing. Zack Snyder was, you know, primed up. He had Man of Steel. Yo, remember when the fucking trailer, I don't remember what movie we were in. I think it was a Batman movie, a Dark Knight movie, probably Dark Knight Rises, I think. And they had Superman trailer, Man of Steel trailer, and he bust through the clouds. He was going through the sky. But how it started was all you heard was sonic booms. Poof, poof. And then we were looking like, yo, that's fucking Superman. That's exactly who Superman's what he's supposed to be. What the fuck? So then everybody in the world start getting amped because Dark Knight was killing it. That's Batman. But now you got a Superman coming too from the same company. Christopher Nolan is involved also. Also, Zack Snyder is directing it from fucking 300? Watchmen? Zack Snyder? All right, well, it's about to be over. This not no fucking Superman Returns or one of them shit. This is not no fucking Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern. I'm sorry. This is some Christopher Nolan type shit. This is what everybody was feeling. All right, this is about to be wild. Superman coming. So we watched the movie Man of Steel. Man of Steel had fucking Russell Crowe in that shit, Lawrence Fishburne in that shit, fucking Kevin Costner, Michael Shannon. Zod is still the best bad guy in the DCEU so far, and he was in Man of Steel and hasn't returned yet. He's still the best. That's how powerful that damn movie was. It had everybody, but not only that. So just look at the man look at who we were at that time, you know, America. We done recovered from a recession that we done had, you know, so a lot of guys could feel that Superman that was kind of like going through job to job, you know, taking shit from people at work. A lot of people could feel that. But a lot of people was talking shit too because it's not the Superman like Christopher Reeve Superman. But Christopher Reeve Superman was Superman of his time. It's a different time. Just like I said, when I talked to you on the first podcast about this shit, I don't even know what, I think it was titled Zack Snyder vs. WB. It wasn't even a Go Deep number, you know? But, you know, like 250 podcasts later, shit, I probably got off train of thought, but let's talk about what people were talking about. Oh, they want the Christopher Reeve type Superman. They don't want the hobo Superman who fucking, you know, got issues in his head of who should he do right or should he not do right, or going to church Superman, or, you know, they didn't want that Superman. But really what it was is not that. Is they used that as an excuse to initiate their changing of America. But see, like, I put it perfectly in like the Antifa shit. The Blake shooting in Wisconsin, and these people go riot, and then they used the shooting as an excuse to go riot. They wanted to riot anyway, you know what I'm saying? But the riot was systematic. The riot, they say the racism is systematic. No, they use racism. They keep racism stuck in your head over and over and over, and then use racist events that happen in every country, no matter what, every day, because it's just too many people on the planet. Bad shit happens all around the world. So these people are using whatever event they want to initiate the plan. So same shit happened in Man of Steel. They wanted to talk shit about Superman, but no, what they really wanted to do is use like SJW, have Superman, the biggest character in the world, to be like a Marvel SJW type, to say he's, you know, I'm for gay pride and I'm for, that was the system that they were trying to infiltrate America with, all this SJW New World Order shit. But if you know anything about Zack Snyder's movies, all of his shit are anti that. He might play cool and, you know, he don't seem political. He don't probably talk political, but you can see it in his artwork. He's anti take over your country and install some new shit. So he showed it in his movies. You know, if you watch his movie, just look at it. So Man of Steel, a fucking alien invasion. There was already an alien on the planet. You see what I'm saying? But you've always known this, but you look at it as Superman. You don't put it in context as, damn, there was an alien invasion with already an alien that was on the planet walking around working with regular people. All right, so you put that in real life. That's probably some shit that we'll hear about very soon. They've already talking about UFOs exist and blah, blah, blah. They're trickling in the news, but pretty soon we'll hear about this shit that, damn, aliens were here the whole time. They've been working with us. They just look like us. Oh shit, that's Superman. You know, but it don't be triggered until someone says it like that. So now it's no more superhero shit. Zack Snyder has made this shit real. But not only what he's made real, he's did the Krypton, you know, planet and what happened to them and their explosion because they were mining minerals. All of this shit matters. All of this shit is connected. They were mining the planet too hard. But in real life, what happened? Disney wants to put in your mind that we're supposed to mine the planet for its resources. Why do I say that? Because they made Black Panther, and that's exactly what they did on Black Panther. That's exactly what it was about. But that's really what's going on in real life. Why? Because further in Zack Snyder's story, there was a corporation trying to get a U.S. senator to authorize his mineral shipment in America. You know, he was also doing business in Africa with a private Russian military who was burning people alive, but blaming it on some Superman. But in real life, what they do is they blame it on people like Coney or something like that. But the system, the whole system is built just to get the resources in Africa. So, you know, Zack Snyder put that was in like about Krypton. But what, if you look at it, also it's going on Earth when he further shows you in BVS. about Lois Lane's dealings in Africa and fucking LexCorp trying to get the kryptonite, which is another mineral, you know? So all of that shit, him blowing up the fucking senator, him blowing up Congress, a corporation for a mineral, that mineral being stolen, you know, all of that shit was Black Panther. You know, what he said on, I don't even know what Wakanda was on. I forgot what the shit was called, but just think of Avatar, unobtainium, and supposedly it was supposed to be Africa, you know? What was, shit, I can't even think what Black Panther's mineral was, but he was the richest man in the world. He was on this big amount of wealth that was in the ground. It was a mineral, and he worked with the UN. He killed his cousin, which was an African American. He worked with the CIA and the United Nations to dig this mineral and give it to the world, the United Nations. The United Nations is the New World Order. That was Disney's message. Zack Snyder's message was totally fucking different. A corporation in search of this mineral, this rock, did some fuck shit and got it. Did some extreme fuck shit and got it. Did some shit like blow up Congress and shit, you know, pitted the two biggest heroes together against each other, you know? So now it's like, damn, it's two alternative narratives, but it's Disney magic versus Zack Snyder's magic and character. Zack Snyder had the one up. He had the characters. He had Batman, he had Superman, he had Wonder Woman. He had better characters than what Disney had. Plus, he's a better director than anyone at Disney, and he had better actors. Plus, he had David Ayer. We all know what David Ayer was about. You know, we saw his movies. We saw what he did when he went to Netflix with Will Smith. I think that was the #1 movie. But he had top actors also. He had Ben Affleck in there. He had Jared Leto in Suicide Squad. He had fucking, you know, everyone. He had some great actors. But we know his movie would have been a lot better. So Zack Snyder is on a level like Michael Jordan. David Ayer is like Scottie Pippen. Fucking. Then you got Patty Jenkins. We give her Tony Kukoc because Wonder Woman Part 1, you know, that made a lot of money. It was great. It was awesome. Zack Snyder worked with her. It was amazing. It was too much for Disney magic. So, Disney probably always had a fucking mole in the fucking hole. Like my kids said on their first video that they ever made. The mole in the hole is Jeff Johns. So he was probably always watching. He probably wanted to do what Kevin Feige was doing at Disney, at Marvel. He probably wanted to do that, but it was bigger than that. He was just a part of the whole New World system, New World Order. He was a part of that because what they wanted to do was tone down the realness of Zack Snyder. But if you see what Zack Snyder was doing was making us aware of how real the world is. What his competitors wanted to do was magically trick you and help you influence the Matrix. They wanted to keep you in the Matrix and keep you McDonald's fed, blind, like a fucking ostrich with your head stuck in the ground. They wanted to keep you there. It was obvious what Black Panther did. You know, it made so much money off of African Americans, but it showed African Americans as terrorists in that movie. And it killed the African American. It shitted on us. But they're so powerful magically that we accepted that shit. It said, yo, take all of your, mineral wealth and split it up with the world, because you're black and you can't save the world yourself. You can't fix Africa. What do you mean? You gotta Give it to us. And we believe that shit. Zack Snyder don't do shit like that. Zack Snyder shows you who's involved in that shit. So they had to remove Zack Snyder. They had to remove the whole Bulls team, Tony Kukoc and Scottie Pippen, because they were gonna do something that was it was to stop the New World Order. And they were gonna use the biggest fucking characters ever made other than Jesus. They were even gonna use Superman as like a Jesus character to get in front of the New World Order. This is why I've been saying, like, none of my podcasts have changed. Like, we're on Go Deep episode 197, but if you go back and look through all of my podcasts, I'm gonna tell you how we did it. We're over 250 podcasts because there's a lot of them like 55.5, or there's a lot of them like part 2s, or there's a lot of them that's not even titled with a number. But here's how we did it. Me and a few guys, like, I told you I'm gonna name some of my friends. Brian Kuhn, one of them, all of the Watchmen. But Brian Kuhn was like the most because Brian Kuhn knew like the New World Order. Well, he knew of it like I thought we knew of it, in this time. Remember, this is 2016. The world is different than what it was now. At that time, we were all scared to say gay jokes, or we were all scared to say anything. You couldn't say anything. You say something about a woman being fat, or you make a little joke about a dude being fat and you're body shaming, or, some crazy shit like that. So like everybody's now a new psychiatrist that's just making up all these fucking terms and shit for who you are. But no, that's all the New World Order. So think of that shit. So now that they use that to get Zack Snyder out. Oh, he's too dark. He's too mean. He's too macho, or he treats women like blah, 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 or, all this bullshit. They use everything. But at the time, we didn't know what was being done. But a few of us did. Like Brian Kuhn is one of them. He always knew. I knew, but talking with Brian Kuhn probably helped me learn more, because I didn't know much about the Hollywood connections as I do now. But I knew about the New World Order, and I knew what Zack Snyder was saying. So now we're starting to be like, yo, I'm a break it. They were like, yo, Hollywood, we would just start talking. This before I was really fucking with Twitter, and we would just say like, yo, Hollywood ain't shit. This, that, or the other. So here's what we can do, Brian. We can just expose the New World Order on my podcast. Ask them, this is what we said. All right, yes, that's the plan. He's been with me the whole time. So I've just been meeting more and more people like that. And everyone that I meet like that, I kind of bring them on the show. And I kind of feel them out to see if they understand really what's going on. And if they do, we'll get a deep show. Like you've seen some of the shows. All you have to do is just watch all of my shows. I'm sorry, you have to binge watch, go deep. If you want to know really what happened in the Snyder Cut movement, you have to binge watch, go deep. It's the most detailed, thorough, accurate account of the Snyder Cut movement is my podcast. So I feel special about that, because if we are really as big as people think we are or say we are, I think I made a big dent in this bitch, but I'm telling you how we made a dent in it. So all of the shit that we've been saying, and if you go back and binge watch my shit, you're gonna find more shit. People have been like, yo, round tables and, Knights of the Round Tables and all this. That's coming out like right now. All right. My first Go Deep song was the Knights of the Round Table song. Fortuna or whatever, Fortana. It was the first song. But it's what I'm trying to tell you, what I'm trying to say is, it's a war. We're in a war. You know, all of my podcasts have been saying the same thing. We're in a silent war in America. That someone is taking over America. And they're doing it with SJW tactics, faking like they're social justice warriors, but they're really like pedophile, rapists, killers, fucking all the most evil shit you can think of. But they're faking like they're social justice guys. And they get into shit, and they saw Zack Snyder had a powerful team that could get in front of that because his characters was too big and his art is too powerful. So they got in front of it. Remember, the first few movies of DC started out making more money than the first few movies of Marvel. So whatever Marvel end up doing, if you add it all up, however many billions amount they made, DC was gonna top that. And it showed within their first 4 movies, and they were gonna drop 20 of them. So Disney told Jeff Johns to do what he had to do to get that guy out of here. Because it was more than Hollywood. It's an American thing. Zack Snyder knows what's going on, but he can't say it. He can't, because he needs funding for these huge movies, right? So to do that, you got to, not play the game, but you got to just not show your hand like that, So how you show your hand is you put it in your art. You can make a fucking, you can watch SpongeBob and it looks like a little cartoon, but then you listen to it and it has grown-up undertones to it. It's the same with high art. So if the nation wants, because remember, the nation was killing itself from the inside so think about this. If the nation wants everyone to eat McDonald's all the time, get fat, get sloppy, die at 50 years old because you have health problems, you basically killed yourself with how you eat. But they made it available for you to kill yourself. They made a double cheeseburger $1. You can get 10 of them for, fucking $13 or whatever. I don't know. But you can get 10 death pills. You know what I'm saying? So you can pretty much get 10 Marvel movies. It's the same thing. It's the same thing, because your diet intake is more than what you just eat, is what you watch also. That's intake of your diet also. So Zack Snyder was gonna give you some champagne or I should say something that makes you grow. Champagne is still liquor, but alcohol. Zack Snyder was gonna give you some fruit or some vegetables. And he was gonna do it with the biggest fucking characters in the planet. And he was probably gonna tell you some real shit that we probably all needed to know. And they probably, through Disney, the New World Order stopped it. Or they thought they stopped it. They paused that bitch. They didn't stop it because they didn't know about us. Bring it back to the story. Me and Brian Kuhn was always in these little chat rooms together. But we would go make our own chat room and just fucking figure this shit out. Or we started texting each other or whatever. But so on the way, we're meeting new people. I'm in the Spartans. He's in the Spartans. Shout out to my dog, Rob Carlin. He started that shit. So now he's in the Spartans. We're in the Spartans. But we say, yo, the way we can get this movie out is we expose them. Because if we expose them, they're going to want to shut us up. And the way to shut us up is give us what we want. So more than what, and everything worked. Everything mattered. Everything from the fucking retweets, the spamming, the airplanes, Times Square, everything mattered. But we thought what mattered more is just to expose them. And that's what we did on the show. Listen to the podcast, especially the ones with Brian Kuhn. We exposed them. So then we move up. Zack Snyder's gone. We're all in disarray. Batman and Superman went out. We start watching that again. We start figuring out what Zack Snyder was talking about. We're in the middle of the purchase from AT&T. Zack Snyder's on Vero sharing pictures. But now with this movement, everyone shows up to try to, because it was the cool thing to do to be in the Snyder Cut movement. But we started noticing, there's like agents of chaos in the Snyder Cut movement. So we're like, everyone, and this brings up to that first Comic-Con where I jumped on Dave the Film Junkie. Everyone was amped to get the Snyder Cut. Only one person wasn't amped, Dave the Film Junkie. And he was like, guys, calm down. Zack Snyder's not going to be there. You guys are overreacting, blah, blah, blah. My source told me Zack Snyder's not going to be there. But the whole movement wanted Zack Snyder to be there, almost to the point where he was almost there. Like the Snyder Cut almost was announced. So then we got hit in the gut, like boom. We dropped. We were out for the count, I think, but they talk about BVS wars and this. I wasn't in the BVS war. I was around, but I didn't get into the war like that because I didn't know really what was going on. I stayed on Vero in one little chat room and that was it. But so we got hit in the gut when Zack Snyder didn't show up. So then when we get up and dust ourselves off the map, we look around like there's one guy happy that he was right about Zack Snyder not showing up. Dave the Film Junkie. So while everybody's focused on what just happened, my ass goes straight beeline for Dave the Film Junkie. Cause I was like, this dude, not only did he call it, he kinda initiated the gut punch to the fucking movement. But he said his source did it. His source told him this. So I was like, name one person that wouldn't want Zack Snyder to be at Comic-Con that year. Jeff Johns. The same person that was ruining Zack Snyder's shit before that. Right? So I put two and two together and I was just like, this dude, he's just spewing Jeff Johns rhetoric. Why are he's just in the Snyder Cut movement. He's with us, but he's not rowing the boat with us. He's rowing against us. So who would want our boat to be going in circles? Jeff Johns. Just like he wanted the movie shit to go in circles. He didn't want the movie shit to succeed, so he was not going to want our shit to succeed either. We started seeing that. That's what Batman do. He, when Superman up flying, killing, remember on that cartoon, I can't, the animation, Superman, it was like 100 Doomsdays and all of them were fighting Doomsday. And Superman did his eye laser and killed all of them. But Batman, he ran away. But people thought he ran away. But Batman knew, no, there's something else going on. This is a distraction. There's something else going on. That's why I consider myself the Batman of the movement. I saw that shit. There's something more to this shit. This is not no regular fucking internet movement. This is not, it might have been organic, but this movement is corrupted. This Jeff Johns fucking slime fingers is all over this movement as well. So then I didn't even really know who everybody was. So I'm just going, me and Brian, we're like, we just the plan. We're gonna expose these cats. And we got so much more that we haven't put out. But I noticed whenever we started exposing them real deep, somebody would come on my show and just straight distract me away from that shit. And I was letting it happen because I didn't know who was who. All right, but whatever. It just gave me more content. But we started exposing them. And fucking, it comes to, I think me and Hamad, I met Hamad through, I can't remember who introduced me. I think maybe Will introduced me to Hamad. And we were going to do a podcast, and Hamad said his famous line when Zack Snyder said in the comment section, he was like, "Yo, I think he's right." Was Hamad's video, but that was supposed to be me and Hamad's podcast. But something happened where the computers wouldn't link from America to Qatar. We don't know, whatever. But so I told him, "Yo, just make a video. I'll post it. Zack Snyder will see it. I'll make a video also, so it looked like we did it together, and we'll post it." He did. It was a great video, but what he was saying, yo, is there's something wrong in this movement. There's something, like Fiona get all this backlash and people are doing X, Y, and Z, and Hamad, he was being a gracious gentleman. So when Zack Snyder said, "I think he's right," I think it's because I said in the comment section, I said, "I think it's Jeff John. I think, I said, I think Jeff Johns fucked it up." And I think you can still go look at the picture, and Zack Snyder replied right under, "I think he's right." But it could look like he was saying, "I think he's right" to Hamad also. But Hamad still gets the, I remember someone tried to take the credit from Hamad, but no, Hamad gets that credit because Hamad was talking about Jeff Johns too. He was just being gracious at the time. I wasn't being gracious. He was just saying it he was just saying it like a gentleman would speak. I wasn't talking like a gentleman. I named names. Hamad was just, so that Hamad still gets credit for that because we were talking about the same shit. We've always been talking about the same shit. But when Hamad was telling you there's something in the movement, this is what he was talking about. So not only is fucking Ray Fisher telling you there's something going on behind the scenes with these guys while we're making movies, there's also something going on behind the scenes with these guys while we're pushing through the movement. And when Batman ran around the corner to find out that it was Darkseid who was stealing Supergirl, it's some big shit. So me ran around the corner, I found out there's some big shit. This is a Disney takeover of fucking Warner Brothers. They remember at the time they were like, "Oh, they need to make their movies more, happy, colorful, and lighthearted, and this, that, other." Why? Because Zack Snyder was telling you the truth. The real world is not happy, colorful, and lighthearted. So they didn't want the truth out. They wanted the Matrix version out, the fake version. They wanted the version that lies to your eyes. They wanted that version out. So who was pumping that version first? Marvel. But who's Marvel's boss? Disney. So Disney did it. It was Disney the whole time, because look, when Zack Snyder left, how much money did Disney make with his movie ideas? Billions of dollars. With Zack Snyder here, they wouldn't have made that amount of money. Because just like, who cares about the CW Flash when you can watch Ezra Miller Flash? Same thing. Who cares about Thanos when you can watch Darkseid? As we see, they were going to be out at the same time. This was a Disney takeover of Warner Brothers from the inside, because it was a fucking New World Order takeover of America from the inside. It was the same shit. It's a Jeff Johns takeover of the Snyder Cut movement from the inside. So then now we're going to get to some of the haters. Not only was we exposing them in their day job, we exposing them, and Dave the Film Junkie wasn't the only one. The 40 Club was deep. The 40 Club got their shit off. They did their thing, but at the shit, we didn't know that John Garza and shit and them boys wasn't with us. But, whatever. 40 Club, it is what it is. They got their shit off. But they were always Jeff Johns shit, because they were always negative against the movement. To act like you're a friend is cool, but when you do stuff that leads your friend astray, you're negative. You were negative. They were always leading us astray. They were always leading us astray. Listen to some of the shit they were saying, you know. I mean, my homeboy Ben W got a long list of shit from, they were pumping this 165 shit. You know, Zack Snyder's not gonna be at Comic-Con. You know, don't call anybody, that's not gonna work. It's only really 40 people that's gonna do it. Don't spam their shit. Don't, you know, chant, release the Snyder Cut in Hall H, or don't do any of that shit. All of that shit was to hinder us. But look who was doing it. It was people in our movement that was doing it. They were hindering us. And if it wasn't for people like Film Gob or this show, we wouldn't have got the Snyder Cut. If it wasn't for people like Vinaldo, Fiona, and the account, the Snyder Cut would never be out. But it's bigger than that. Now we can make gay jokes and we can just say shit like that and people know we were just making jokes. It's not like homosexual gay. We call Tom Brady gay just because he's fucking a cheater. But you know, at the time you couldn't even say shit like that. The world was so different. At the time it was cancel culture completely. You fucking, you know, Dave Chappelle had a little bit about cancel culture, but Zack Snyder is like the biggest fucking victim of cancel culture. But cancel culture was to cancel the American culture. That's how big it was. So what we did, it's like a big tidal wave. We stood in front of that shit and it dropped. It didn't fall on us. It went right back into the sea. They lost. We are changing. We have turned back time. That's probably why Flash did it in the movie. That's probably, I haven't seen Tenet yet, but that's probably something like they're talking about. We have actually did all this quantum physics shit. We have actually changed probably whatever timeline was given to America. And it's still going on. You know, they're still doing it. They're Black Lives Matter shit and all this riot shit. And, you know, they're trying to cancel the American culture. That's what cancel culture is. Put the American culture in that shit. And that's what is really cancel the American culture. Shit on the president. Shit on Jesus Christ. Shit on people like Zack Snyder that's not following the fucking agenda, that's not following the narrative. Shit on people like me. I remember people in my own crew when I fucking went at all the people that was going at Zack Snyder. People in my own crew would always try to stop me because they were saying I wasn't talking politically correct. They were canceling me. Nerd Queens was doing it. But we kind of already know who Nerd Queens are. I'ma just be real. But every time I would say something, they would try to sit me down like they know what's best for me to live my life. This is all what they did. This is the same shit. This is what people did. No, Peely, you can't say that. Not in our movie. Peely, you can't talk like that. But if it wasn't for Peely talking like this, you would have never got this movie you're about to watch. Because you telling Peely to not talk like this is trying to handcuff Peely just like they tried to handcuff Zach. Why? Because Peely and Zach's message are exactly the same. So, when Jeff Johns was telling fucking Ray Fisher and blah, 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 and Zack Snyder and Ben Affleck, they can't do this, Nerd Queens, TPZ, was telling Peely, I can't do this also. They were doing the same thing to me at the same times, probably. Peely, you can't talk to Trump because we don't want to make our movement look like you're Republican. What? It is not about Republican. Trump is involved in this little AT&T merger that it should be big news right now. Trump is directly involved. We should talk to Trump. No, Peely, we can't because Zack Snyder wouldn't like that because you don't want it to make it look like we're Republicans. No, Peely, don't stand up for Ben Shapiro because he's a Republican. They were telling me all of this shit. Peely, don't stand up for Vinaldo. He's a socialist. They were telling me all of this shit. But I didn't listen. I never compromised. Zack Snyder never compromised. Because we couldn't compromise. Because the shit that was facing us was too fucking big. Why can't we talk to Trump? Trump is an American president. He's on Twitter. We're allowed to talk to this man. Why are you telling me I can't do something? You know, like none of y'all really know me. You're not my boss, actually. And the reason, one time I got respect for Ronaldo. We were in a room together. Ronaldo's a witness to this. They were telling me I can't do something in the room. Peely, don't talk like that. Don't say this or don't say that. And Ronaldo left the room because of that and texted me and was like, Peely, nobody should tell a man what he can and cannot say in this movement. And he left it at that. And I said, oh, okay, you're right. Ronaldo is the one that made me say, stop giving a fuck about these people telling me to stop. Telling me don't say this. Telling me not to talk like this. When fucking Edgy did a fucking meme about like Zack Snyder's daughter, the situation with that. And then it turned kind of big. And he was going back and laughing with Dave the Film Junkie and donating to Dave the Film Junkie's show. And Dave the Film Junkie was accepting it. My crew told me to let that shit slide because they don't want Zack Snyder to see the images and relive that in his head. No, what was really going on, they didn't want me to kill Dave the Film Junkie. That's what it was, because they wanted his narrative to continue going on because it was the Jeff Johns narrative. Some of the people putting out the screenshots now, some of my crew was defending Jeff Johns at the time. Let's talk. We can talk about this shit. This exists. So we can't be like all happy-go-lucky now and we all got the movie. No, a lot of y'all tried to prevent us from getting the movie. If it wasn't for the Watchmen, if it wasn't for the Exiles, if it wasn't for fucking people like, we wouldn't have got this movie. We would not be watching nothing. We would be watching Birds of Prey, Wonder Woman 84, and some whatever else they greenlit after that. We wouldn't have been talking about release the air. We wouldn't have been thinking we're going to see the air cut. We wouldn't have been thinking anything about Ben Affleck, Batman, without these certain few people. But these certain few people have now been blacklisted in this movement because we've beat the tidal wave that was about to destroy America. We stood in front of that shit. And when we stood in front of that shit, I think we won. I think we're still creating the future now, but I think we have to go backwards and erase all the bullshit that happened. And I think that's what's happening. I think so. It just feels like that. But as we go on, I just got to keep making fucking podcasts. Because this is, like I said, this is the most detailed fucking anything of this movement. This is the most detailed history of the Snyder Cut movement. Is go deep. And when we fucking 10 years from now, when these movies have played out and we've seen it and we've all grown and we've elevated as a person and we've fucking saved America, which in turn will save the world, because the New World Order is not the good guys. Even though they play this SJW role like that, they're not the good guys. But I still want everybody to still stay vigilant, because we still got to worry about Kevin Feige. We still got to, all this shit goes up to Kevin Feige, Disney, and Marvel. But also, in your movement also, still, the guys are still here. Not only the people that I called out, or not only the people that I talked about, but there's more people that we haven't, they think we haven't figured them out. I see them very well, because I'm fucking Batman. And their day will come too. But for now, that's that. Let's get into some more shit. And maybe we can talk about some of this time travel shit, because like I said, we're fucking going back in time. I think we're cleaning up the past. I think we're doing a Flash. I think right now we're probably doing a Tenet. I still have to see the movie. I haven't seen it yet, but we're probably doing a Tenet. And then that'll be that. Go hit like, subscribe, share my shit. Fucking, you can say I'm retarded. You can call me whatever the fuck you want to, but later on you will see I'm probably right. You can talk as much shit as you want. I'm probably not even gonna respond because I don't even know you're talking shit, because I don't watch y'all shit. But I told the truth, and everybody know I told the truth. And there's more where that came from. So I'm gonna get out of here. Your mom's gonna come over, help me mop my floor, and that's it. Yeah, bitch!
We've assembled a panel again. Ole, Cody, Beth, welcome back to the show, guys. How's everybody doing today?
Pretty good, thanks.
Good.
Yeah, thanks for having us on again. Me anyway.
Right. Cody, you're still enduring the fires there in Colorado, right?
Yeah, one of them is the biggest one ever in state history, and then the Cameron Peak fire, they're calling it now, is putting out a lot of smoke in the area. My voice is, kind of messed up, but I'm sitting here with an air purifier, and I hope you can hear me okay.
Wow. Yeah, we hear you well, but I mean, biggest fire in Colorado history versus air purifier. I don't know. I wish you well. That sounds really bad.
Well, there's a lot of smoke and particulate debris in the air, and we're just trying to do the best we can. And I got a copy of the book that Beth was talking about last time, The Power of Myth by Joseph Campbell. And I have it right here, and I've been reading it. It's wonderful, and the archetype stuff is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
And that's what we were talking about quite a bit last week, archetypes. And for the first time, many people met Beth Martins. Beth, you've done a lot of writing about archetypes, and we had a great conversation last week. Do you want to give everybody just a brief overview of this book, The Power of Myth, the archetype conversation we were having last week, and the types of things that you deal with on your website, bethmartins.com?
Yes, sure. I'm not actually specifically familiar. I haven't read that book, so I can't give you a brief overview, but I am familiar with Joseph Campbell's work, and he was the one that he probably publicized rather than discovered the hero's journey. And the hero's journey is the big archetype. It's the archetype of all archetypes within which the others fit, and it's the journey that every human being is called to on this earth. Either you accept the calling or you reject the calling, and either way you actually are still in that archetype. You can't get away from it. It's just who you are.
And we had a great conversation last week. If anybody missed that, I encourage them to go back and take a look. And then Beth, you and I were speaking on your channel. You do a lot of amazing stuff. Ole, thank you for introducing us to Beth. We wanted to talk today about the media industrial complex, and are they programming people's thoughts, maybe taking us out of these archetypes that are perhaps more in line with our natural personalities and tendencies? Ole, you've done a ton of work on this media industrial complex. What do you think?
I tell you, I interviewed a person the other day who was, she spent a big part of her life in advertising and marketing. And she told me that all marketing is based on problem, reaction, solution. And I was not aware of that at all. So that makes it really interesting. She said it's just called something else. It's sort of like find the need for the product or create a need. That's the problem. Then I think she said aggravate the situation or the interest, stir it up, and then you have the product already waiting to then be served when the need has been created. And this is exactly it. It's the old Romans, here we go again. But what we're seeing now is the exact same scenario being played out, but where the product they're offering us is the New World Order agenda, horror nightmare, whatever. So it's like, I think really, really important to become aware of these methods that are being used against us.
Absolutely. Ole, are you familiar with this guy? I'm showing a picture of an individual named Elmer Davis right now.
No.
Elmer Davis was the head of the War Information Office during World War II, which propagandized basically everybody into whatever it is that they wanted people to believe. Elmer Davis said that it was much easier to propagandize people through entertainment than it was through news, because, you can teach somebody something when they don't realize they're being taught. And there's been so much talk about how Hollywood and the mainstream news, there seem to be so many similarities between entertainment and news these days. Some of the same individuals appear there, and the news is driven by, Ole, you're telling us this advertising person told us about the agenda for advertisers. Well, what pays for the news but advertising?
Yeah, and also when you look at these big companies, where do they come from? Where did the radio come from? Where did television come from? It's military industrial complex. It's the military technology that has worked in war zones, and then, well, let's do something else with it when there's so-called peace at the moment, and then they've started attacking the population instead to control and persuade us to accept more and more of their agenda. So it's the same old story, and that is why I think it's super interesting with your background in Hollywood, with Cody's background as well. And so we come from so different angles, and that's why I love bringing people like this together now with Beth as well, with the archetypes, because it just all fits together, but in an invisible network that most people are not aware of. Yeah. So this is what I want to pull the curtain away so that you can clearly see, now I see what's going on. That is the purpose.
Absolutely. Beth, what do you think? Media industrial complex.
Exactly. So they have the playground of the human psyche at their fingertips. And the human psyche is very easily communicated with. It's very easy to suggest things to, a brief image. It can be even an image that you're not aware of having seen. That's how they've used a lot of subliminal stuff, whether it's audio or visual, symbols and numbers, inversions of symbols and numbers. They're all the makings of the programming that ends up embedded in our own psyches. Now they're playing at the level of the archetypes, that blueprint of human purpose and meaning and consciousness. And we are hardwired for both the awakening and also the deep unconscious. And so all of that is fertile ground to come along and implant the thing that is not wanted. Now, it was described to me, hard to say whether this is true or not, that we actually started to program ourselves in order to not have to think when we beat our heart or breathe our lungs or metabolize nutrients from our food, right? That a certain amount of automation had to come into play in order to just exist without it, being a 24-hour job to stay alive. And then the story was told, this is by Lester Levinson, God knows it's impossible to prove, but that we just went too far. We kept automating and automating and automating and put so many things on the back burner of the unconscious that most of us, 95% of our awareness is in the unconscious. And so it's very easy to manipulate. Right? You can't manipulate somebody who's aware that watches the news and says, "Oh, I know that technique. That's problem reaction solution. They made me feel like there was something wrong with me," and then they heroically show up with the solution. So we are fodder at this stage, and the way I consider myself an expert in decoding, number one, and then deprogramming, number two, because all of this is taking place here. It's not really out there. that's, it's not something to be afraid of, but also I would recommend your listeners minimize their exposure to all of that in the media, in the mainstream news, because it does get in. Even watching a single movie, I can see after the effect on my own consciousness. I have to deprogram from that experience that I'm not used to anymore. And there are specific programs also that I'd love to talk about some of them in detail because they are highly recognizable. Once you see them, then you're in a powerful place to be able to take them out. If you don't see them, you cannot do one thing about them.
That makes a lot of sense, Beth, because, for me, when I started doing this show and getting involved in broadcasting on YouTube and stuff, I had never heard about social engineering or any of this. And so not knowing anything about it, when it's being used to try to damage me, I don't know what's going on. But when you learn, first you got to figure out what it is you're dealing with and then unravel it. So that, sort of gets us past step one. The other important thing is that we're going to get into great detail on this topic when we continue with our sponsor exclusive segment on patreon.com/lightonconspiracies, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. We're also going to be simulcasting this on Beth's Patreon page that people can get to by going to patreon.com/BethMartins. Welcome again to the show, Beth. Ole, everything okay? I think your background is flipped.
Well, what can I say?
This way people know we're authentic. We're not programming people. We're just struggling to get our own program together. There we go. Perfect.
I think Skype is having a problem with their new technology here. But do you know, I heard this, I watched this video interview with a woman who had been part of a satanic cult, that she had been abused from a young age. She was sort of like, she had some psychic abilities, and that was really highly valued in this area. So she was taken in and put through all kinds of horror, and I mean, awful. But one of the things she said was the way they sort of tie you into the whole thing is that they put you in all kinds of, or put you through all kinds of traumatic events, but like, for instance, electric shocks and so, and then the person that is doing it to you, as soon as it stops, no one else is allowed to touch that person, the target sort of, but the person who's doing it, that they want to become your handler, goes forward and hugs you and holds you. And even though she said, even though the mind understands that he just tortured me, there's this connection on a cellular level that it becomes like almost like an obsession, like a more than a love affair. It's like a incredible need to please this person, to get their approval, and that makes them totally in control, let them be controlled by that person. And this is where I think, when I look at a lot of these things, like we have a mass shooting, for instance, and I mean, I'm one of the people that are speaking about light and love and compassion and all these things, but I come from a point where I mean it. Then you have the people carrying out these operations, and I thought that they had sort of trying to hijack these words so that we can't really use them anymore, because there's a lot of these fake events, staged mass shootings and so on, where witnesses and victims, the first they say, yes, I was shot six times, don't worry, I took an aspirin, I'm fine, I don't need surgery. But apart from that, we need to forgive them. We need to we need to spread love. We need forgive them. Or they're using these things, and I was thinking, is that what they're doing? Is that why they're doing it? First they hit us, and we're like, oh, and then they said, no, but love us, because. And I'm like, it's not up to you to tell anyone to forgive anything, because you're the ones who did it. But they're sort of, I think that's how they're doing. They're connecting with us, our psychic somehow. So I thought that was super interesting.
Is that Stockholm Syndrome?
I guess you could say it in one way. I'm not sure, Beth or Cody, maybe you know better.
Yeah, that's it falls under the blanket of Stockholm syndrome, where a person that's being tortured or harassed actually begins to identify with the torturers. That happened to some of our American POWs in the Korean conflict and the Vietnam conflict and so forth. So military intelligence has used that Stockholm syndrome to their advantage on a number of occasions.
Mm-hmm. And Cody, what do you say about propaganda? And I mean, we've spoken about it a bit, but the experience that you've had has been quite specialized. Was it accompanied by mass propaganda events, and what was the nature of it, if it was?
Yeah, we have a whole. I got a lot of information, and stuff here, and maybe on the Patreon portion we can talk more about it, so we won't be censored by YouTube. Excuse me. Anyway, yeah, mind control, like Beth was talking about. Mind control is a big thing, and it ties right into the the CIA MK Ultra program, the 149 sub-projects they had in there. And I have a quote here from Carl Jung, which is just what Beth was talking about. He said, "The subliminal aspects of everything that happens to us may seem to play very little part in our daily lives, but they are the almost invisible roots of our conscious thoughts." And when we're awake, we have the conscious mind, but the subconscious, approximately 95% of our brain, it's always activated under the surface. And this is what Beth was talking about when they try to manipulate and control your propaganda using a military intelligence way as a way to get your enemy to surrender or lose his will to fight, so that you don't have to actually, drop bombs or whatever. And it's become quite sophisticated, which is the offspring of the Stargate program, the MK Ultra, and all that other stuff. So they use Jungian psychology, subliminals, archetypes, anything to their advantage to get a military edge. The Chinese, the Russians, the Americans, British, they're all doing it.
And Cody, what do you think about this latest announcement from Elon Musk's Neuralink company that they've actually installed a chip into the brain of a pig, where so far they've demonstrated the ability to read brain waves from the pig? There are 1,024 microscopic electrodes that literally poke right into the brain tissue, and I think each one of them can stimulate or read the stimulus from a neuron in the brain. What do you think about this level of direct interface? I mean, it seems like MK Ultra and these other things are chemical-based programs that are kind of poking around in the dark, and now it appears we may, for the first time, have a direct plug, literally, right into the brain. What are the implications for manipulating people's minds with that kind of technology?
Well, the implications are absolutely horrifying. When you insert physical objects in the brain that serve as electromagnetic transducers or receivers, like this pig thing that Elon Musk is doing, that's a whole nother level of psychotronics. Psychotronics is psychological manipulation by electronic means, like modulating microwaves externally to affect the endocrine system, like the pineal gland, the hippocampus, the hypothalamus, and so forth, and create hormonal changes in serotonin, melatonin, neurotransmitter imbalances in the brain. That's one way. There's psychic driving that was tested up there in Beth's neck of the woods at that Allen Memorial Institute there, McGill University. We talked about that in the last show. And so this new stuff of putting in some type of device or even nanotechnology with nanoparticulates serving as electric or magnetic transducers of an external signal, all of this stuff is absolutely horrifying. And when you think about the AI computers that could be programmed to self-program themselves in a feedback loop with devices like Elon Musk is using, this opens up a whole new can of worms for the Pandora's box of mind control, and it is an extension, by the way, of some of these CIA operations that were conducted in the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s.
Wow.
I also want to say that this is absolutely nothing new. Like Cody says, I think it was already in the 50s. There was especially one doctor that was contracted by the CIA, Jose Manuel Rodriguez Delgado, who he was a Spanish professor in neurophysiology at the Yale University. And one of the things that he became famous for was to be able to control a bull in a bullfighting ring type of thing. To first, when it started attacking, he could, with a remote control, just turn off the aggressivity, so that he just totally stopped in the attack and was diverted away.
Wow, that's amazing. I think you've mentioned this guy before.
Yeah, this was controlled through electrical stimulation of the brain. That I don't know the exact how they did it, but it had sort of like a thing on the top of his head, and you can see it. It was filmed and everything. You see the bull start charging, and then he presses the button, and boom, it just stops. So
wow.
Nothing.
Discover magazine from 2016 has an article, "The Man Who Fought a Bull with Mind Control." That's amazing. There he is, Jose M.R. Delgado, steps into a Spanish bull ring as a bold demonstration of his research. Yale University.
He was from Ronda, which is just a stone throw away from here.
Huh.
Press that, check out the video.
He's got an electromagnetic mind control thing. Well, I think we should check this out on Patreon, because playing other videos on YouTube is just another excuse that they use to try to shut us down. See, and I think that one of the issues that we're running into, Ole, is that we're talking about how this media industrial complex is programming people's thoughts by presenting them with information that is intended to be true, and it causes people to believe that things that are false are actually true. This is social engineering at its finest. It's funded by these large corporations. That's the industrial complex part of it. But what we're trying to do is to break that down. And I think that might be one of the reasons why the president of television doesn't like this show. It's important for viewers who want this information to recognize we got to break this cycle of this industrial complex. And by providing direct to viewer sponsorship, I seriously think that's what they hate. So people who join us on patreon.com/lightonconspiracies, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, or subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and of course on patreon.com/BethMartins. Ole, have you activated Subscribestar? I can never remember.
I have, but I haven't really looked into it. I'm overloaded all the time.
But the point is, by delivering this content directly to our viewer sponsors, eliminating this corporate sponsorship step, people have the confidence that we're not being influenced by these companies that want to subliminally insert ideas and get them to install chips in their pigs' brains or whatever it is that they might want people to do. So we'll be back in just about 5 minutes on Patreon and Subscribestar. We're going to go in depth on some of these topics. Thanks everybody on the panel for joining. I look forward to the next hour, and thanks to the generous Patreon and Subscribestar sponsors who make this show possible. We'll see everybody in a few minutes.